you a fan of this podcast? Do you wish there was even more juicy content for you to sink your ears into? Well, there is. You can become a premium member of this podcast for $5.99 a month and get full access to an archive of over 50 bonus episodes. Additionally, we release a bonus episode every single month. That's a ton of extra content, including my personal interior design diaries, extra tips, my talking about trends, and so much more. Additionally, you'll be keeping us on the airwaves each and every week because your premium membership money goes directly back to making this podcast amazing. Check us out at affordableinteriordesign.com. Click on podcast to learn more and to become a premium member today.
You don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
Hello, everybody. I officially go on maternity leave tomorrow. Very exciting and nerve-wracking because I am starting my maternity leave the very day I have my C-section. So it didn't give me much time to prepare or unwind, but luckily I've been feeling good right up until today. So I've been able to work and log podcasts and all that fun stuff. But tomorrow is the day. And even though I've been through this twice before, it was a decade ago, over a decade ago. And it's just never my favorite thing. People talk about the magic of childbirth and how amazing it is. And yes, the end product, when you have your baby nuzzling next to you, is amazing. Getting there, not my favorite thing. My husband on my kids' birthdays is always like, let's talk about the day they were born. Let's talk about the day you gave birth. Let's tell them the story. I'm like, I don't want to talk about this story. I want to have cake. I want to watch them open presents. They don't need to see me cry on their birthdays. That moment may have been very magical for him. For me, I had different experiences. So I'm trying to go into tomorrow with a decade now of reflection and things like that. I'm trying to go in tomorrow with a spirit of magic and wonder, but instead there's a lot of dread, just to be quite honest. So anyway, that's what's on my mind. And it's so funny because it happens to coincide with a question that's in today about nurseries. And as somebody who recently designed my nursery, I have lots of thoughts and feelings on that. So without further ado, let's hop into this mailbag. The question today comes from Jenny, writing from Houston, Texas. And full disclosure, she is also my podcast content creator. So if you've gone on YouTube, if you've seen our social media, you have seen Jenny's creations, you've seen her transcripts of the podcast. So many of you are clamoring to get it all written out. And for so long, I didn't do it because I didn't have a team. Well, now I do. And Jenny is an integral part of that. So I'm so grateful to have her on board. I do have reflux, guys. I hope that goes away after I have this baby. But anyway, bear with me. And speaking of reflux, Jenny probably has reflux too because she is also pregnant. And she has a question. She writes, what are your favorite places to find nursery decor on a budget? We already have the big furniture pieces picked out, but we're struggling to find the smaller pieces to complete our French country inspired or Grand Millennial baby girl nursery. To give you an example of the vibe I am going for, I've attached some photos of the Love Shack Fancy / Pottery Barn Kids line. That is what I am currently saving up for. So yes, thank you for introducing me to this new style, Jenny, because I had never heard of Grand Millennial style. I had, however, heard of the style that it also goes by the name. It's Granny chic is what it is also sometimes referred to. And basically, it combines more traditional, homey style pieces with modern elements. So it's not sleek or overly modern, but it embraces, some outdated elements like china patterns, floral patterns, prints, that kind of thing, but also introduces some pieces that don't feel like throwbacks, that don't feel like grandma's house, so that it feels a little bit fresher and more contemporary. I love this style. I love the look you're going for. The pictures that you've sent me from this Pottery Barn line have like gold ribbons. It has a lot of cream and ivory and filigree and beading on the mirrors. So there's just lots of ornate detail. There's chintz and ruffles on the bed. There's like a beautiful organza kind of netting. There's wallpaper that's intricate, crystals on the sconces. So, guys, if you can kind of put yourself back in that world, think like Laura Ashley. Everything old comes back again. And you know what I find? I find that it's very limiting when looking for nursery pieces. So you could do the big ones like Pottery Barn Kids. I also like Pottery Barn Teen. Believe it or not, they have a lot of things that really span the generations that are fun. So I find artwork and accessories and bath mats that work for nurseries as well as for adult spaces. So all the way through. Then, of course, you could look at Restoration Hardware's kids line, which I think would have a lot of things in this vein, but would really be a budget buster. When I'm shopping for kids and nurseries, I look at Crate and Kids, I look at West Elm Kids, but overall, I'm just generally disappointed when looking for kids stuff because I find that there's not a huge selection, or it looks too baby, or it's just not all that inspired. So I tend to decide what I'm looking for in advance. So say I've created the color palette with my inspiration piece, just like I did in my daughter's nursery. My daughter, that feels weird to say tomorrow, my other daughter. Wow, I just got goosebumps. Anyway, my other daughter, like I did for her nursery, is I'm reusing the rug from our primary bedroom in our last home because I already had it in this room when it was my art room. And I like the rug and it was expensive and it's a perfect fit, even though the texture is like very low pile. I wish I had something a little more decadent in there, but it's fine because I really love the colors. We've got like teal, navy, hot pink, and it's got like this kind of vintage or worn Persian pattern on it. So I really love it. I think it's a great inspiration piece. Then I also wound up using gold, but I just used a regular dresser that I found on Wayfair that was white with some intricate detailing on the drawer fronts and gold pulls. And then I put a white changing topper on top of that just screws onto the back. So when she no longer needs to be changed, you can just take it off and it looks like a normal dresser. And then I did some navy blackout curtains that have like a gold geometric detailing in them. So the dresser, the drapes, I did not get these elements at any kind of kids store because they aren't necessarily kid items. And in terms of like artwork, light fixtures, again, I had my color palette from the rug. So I was looking for macrame. I thought that would be really cute. And it's something that's soft because if you're putting something above a crib or above a changing table, you want, if the baby reaches up and pulls or kicks, that if it did fall, it would not hurt them. So that's why I love a macrame. So I got this amazing macrame on Etsy, and I literally just Googled teal macrame wall hanging. Then I wanted something above the changing table, and I literally just Googled hot pink navy teal artwork because I already knew the color palette. And when I was looking around at these other kids style places, it's like little farm animals or, little dainty initials, and it just didn't vibe with what I was looking for. So if you just decide in advance, I need a mirror, I need a bookcase. I need whatever, right? It really limits the amount of shopping you have to do at a kid place, because I found this amazing canvas piece at greatbigcanvas.com that has all this New York City imagery, and it's kind of drawn in a kid's style. But it features those exact colors I was looking for. It's strung on canvas, so it's not heavy if she were to knock it down. So these are the kinds of elements that I would be looking for.
And now it's time for a quick commercial break.
Do you love this podcast? Do you wish you could learn even more? Well, we have an online class bundle. Our online class bundle is comprised of 3 online classes: beautifying your home for less, styling your home, and the fundamentals of feng shui. Each one of those 3 classes is between 30 and 45 minutes long and chock filled with visuals and tips, things that will help you to style your own space or help out with other spaces. Additionally, with the pack of 3 classes, you get an autographed copy of my book, Affordable Interior Design. You get all of that for only $99. Once again, that's the 3 online classes as well as the book for only $99. You just go to affordableinteriordesign.com/classes. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/classes to buy your bundle today. And if one of those classes sounded intriguing, but maybe you already have my book or some of the other topics are not of interest, you can buy the classes individually at that site as well. Each class is $40. So head over to affordableinteriordesign.com/classes to get your bundle or your online class today.
So when you type this in, you may want to incorporate, you may find it's even cheaper incorporating actual antiques like I have done around here using auctionninja.com. I found a ton of amazing gilded mirrors, things that really look like the images that you're showing me, Jenny. But I got like this amazing gilded mirror that's an antique for above my record cabinet in the family room, and I spent $17. I probably spent more in gas going 45 minutes each way to pick it up, but that's another story. You can, on Auction Ninja, reduce the diameter that you want to drive and then just go to that location or just shop within that radius. But, excuse me, seeing as how I'm new out here, I like to drive and I like to go see all these new places in Connecticut that I'm not familiar with. So anyway, I think the takeaway here, guys, is when you're shopping for a crib, when you're shopping for, crib sheets, when you're shopping for these things, it can be a great idea to just put in the color if you've already created the color palette, or just put in the word like floral drapes, pale pink and mint green, right? And then things will pop up from all different websites. But I find that there aren't a lot of kid websites that I'm super into that embrace very interesting and diverse styles. You kind of have to go with what's super popular right now, or you're not going to find anything. So I really prefer to cast a wide net and instead really decide in advance. The drapes will be navy, and I know they're going to be blackout, right? So I can just put the exact words that I want in the Google search bar and see the results come up that way. That's my piece of advice. I know it's not an inside scoop per se, but I think it will really help you and liberate you from these websites that are not only uninspired, but can often be quite expensive. Now, guys, while we're on the topic of maternity, while we're on the topic of babies, I wanted to let you know something. So I am going to be pre-recording all these things through the end of October because I do need some rest with my baby. But I realized that with all the other things I have to do, all the catching up, etc., I will pick out a day at the end of October and pick out a day at the end of November to record that month's podcast. What does that mean for you? Why do you care? What that means is that you can go ahead and send me questions and I'll be able to get to them within the month, because I am going to go ahead and record fresh content for my subsequent months. When you own your own business, it is kind of a bummer. Like I imagined just totally checking out for these 3 months because I do have an amazing staff now and I do have people covering these things. But then when I looked at the reality of my day to day, I realized that every 2 weeks, I'm going to need a text check-in from my business manager. Every month, I'm going to have an official meeting with my business manager. I'm going to have to cut checks and check on all these things that only I can do. And while I'm doing all that, I might as well record with you. So there we go. So that means I want you to send in those questions at affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Send them in to me and I will be able to get them answered in a timely manner. All right, everyone, send me good vibes because here goes nothing. And thank you all so much for being great listeners and joining me again this week. Until next time, everybody. Bye. You've asked for it, and we have answered the call. For years, you've been saying, Betsy, you're talking about all these great design concepts, but we can't visualize them. You're describing the picture that the listener sent in of their problem, and we wish we could see that picture too. After all, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I do my best to describe them, but there's nothing like seeing it for yourself. And that's why Affordable Interior Design, the podcast, now has a YouTube channel. Not only do we have a YouTube channel where you could see recordings and clips of these podcast episodes, we also have an Instagram, a Facebook, and so many other exciting things. You should check it out. Head over to affordableinteriordesign.com/links. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/links. And when you go there, you will see links to our YouTube page, our Instagram page, our Facebook page, and more. Please check it out, follow and subscribe so you can see everything I'm talking about. A big thank you to our amazing producer, Catherine Heller, to Aton and the MBCR House Band, and to Affordable Interior Design, the sponsor of this podcast and the premier place to get an amazing look on a budget. Check out affordableinteriordesign.com. If you guys love the show, the very best way to support us is by spreading the word. Tell your friends or write us an awesome review on iTunes. So until next week, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.